everyone. This is Elise here. I am here today to do the Make a Milk Jug Head workshop with you guys. I'm going to show you a little example of what we're doing. This is what I created last week. Pretty simple. What I used is like old t-shirts for her hair and just used paint on her face. I kind of came up with this idea because I was inspired by, I was just kind of like looking around the house for things to make puppets with, because that's kind of like an ongoing theme in this workshop series, if you haven't noticed. But I liked how there was kind of like, this is almost like a control, right, for a puppet, because you can just hold it and get a ton of expression really fast. And it's easy enough to have like milk jugs around the house. You know, I think most of us drink milk and, you know, go through cartons pretty quickly. So anyways, that's what we're going to be doing today. The materials that you need is an empty milk jug. I have mine right here. You need some paint. I have my paint brushes. I have my old palette here too. Isn't that crazy? It's like years worth of paint. And then an old t-shirt. I'm still using my like red t-shirt that I used for this, but you can use pretty much anything you want. Like, I would really encourage you to get creative with what you have. I would also recommend plastic bag shreds. Those have like a really beautiful, like ethereal look, because, you know, they catch the air and they like almost look like they're floating. So if you don't really have a t-shirt that you want to cut up, I would recommend just grabbing a plastic bag or just getting creative and using whatever you want. But anyways, let's get started. So all I'm going to do is just start with the base coat, right? And then the base coat does take just like a few minutes to dry. So we're going to cut up like the hair or whatever you want for the hair while we're doing that. So I'm going to start with the base coat. Here is my soon-to-be puppet. You can't really see it here, but I had to pull off like the, what do you call it? Like the sticker on the milk. It's still on the back here, but that's okay, because that's just the back of the puppet and we're not going to see it anyways. If you're having trouble getting it off, all I did was just soak in hot water for a few minutes, and then I was able to just like scrape off the stickiness. So you can do that if you do not like the look of that there. So I'm going to get started. I haven't even thought about what kind of puppet I wanted to make. Somebody give me a base color. Yay, I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide. I have pretty much any color here. I have, of course, orange. Think about like, this is probably going to be like maybe her brother or sister or something, because they're using the same hair. So like, what would match her? Somebody just give me a color that you would like to see today. I don't even know what kind of puppet I'm making yet. Not seeing any. Oh, I got blue, so we'll make a blue one today. I like that. The blue and red will look really nice. All right, so I'm gonna paint. It's old. I have like these little dried up paint things on it. I'm just gonna squirt out my blue paint. This does take like kind of a surprising amount of paint to get it on. What was I gonna say? Oh, for the front coat, because we want that to dry a little bit faster, try not to use like, you know, don't make it like super thick on the front. It doesn't need to be like a lot of, paint in order to, you know, work. See, even as you can see here, I'll give you a little example. You can still see, unfortunately, like the little date. I tried to paint over that, but that was like really just really persistent about staying on there. So, oh well, it's hard to see. I bet you can like barely tell, or unless you're like looking for it. So really just don't use a lot of paint, because we want that to dry really fast. All right, I'm gonna mix up my colors now. I wanted like a nice light blue. Almost like a sky blue is the color I'm going for. That'll look really nice. I also think that'll look interesting with the yellow. You can remove this, by the way, or paint over it. I kind of just like the look of the green on the bottom, because it almost reminded me of like strawberry colors. So you can kind of do whatever you feel like. Let's see. And this puppet can be kind of either like a rod puppet head if you wanted to make it that. If you wanted to like, you know, unscrew this and like stick it on top of a broom or something, boom, you have a rod puppet. That's kind of cool. But I really like the idea of it being like the back of the handle is the control mechanism. All right, I have my nice light blue and I'm gonna start painting. I'm just doing like big strokes, trying to get it on there. Another thing you could have done with the base was kind of like crinkle it up and shape the milk jug. I didn't just because I wanted it to kind of like match the other one that I made, but that would also be a good idea. Like if you already had a milk jug that maybe it was like damaged when it was in the recycling bin, you can still make a character out of that. Puppets don't have to be perfect. I like puppets that look like they have some, you know, asymmetries in them because it's real. All right. Yeah, I think this will look really pretty with the almost like pastel red shirt I have going on. All right. Then you can paint the back too because you don't need to paint the handle or anything, but just like it would be a good idea to have some coats of it on the back. Doesn't have to be a lot. That can be even thinner than the one you just did on the front. All right, I'm going to paint the top of it too, but only just like a little bit because the hair is going to go on top. All right. Sorry, it's taking a second. All right. So I've pretty successfully painted it blue. Now we're just going to let that dry for a second. This really shouldn't take too long. Of course, if we were like, you know, we lived in a perfect world, you would probably let this dry like completely before adding some features onto it. We don't have that luxury, so I'm just going to go ahead and wait for it to dry like a little bit until it's able to be worked on, but it still will be a little bit wet, but that's honestly not a huge deal. It can be worked with. In fact, if it's still a little bit wet, that's actually kind of a good thing if you wanted to like blend colors, because then you can blend, like, for example, if you wanted to add blush or something, you could pretty easily blend that into the blue and make it look more realistic. So I'm going to turn it upside down and let it just sit and dry for a little bit. I'm going to scooch that out of my way. All right. And because I am a fan of long hair on puppets, I'm going to do some long hair on this too. I also have like a lot of t-shirt left, so I'm going to keep doing that. So I gave her bangs. That was kind of like an impromptu decision. What I like doing is kind of just like looking at the materials around me and letting them inspire me. So I'll show you here. I was originally just going to do these locks, and then I saw the t-shirt sleeve and I was like, hey, that would be kind of cool. That looks like I could cut it up and make a fringe out of it. So that's kind of how she got that idea. So think about like what kind of hairstyle your puppet might have. You could definitely do the bangs. You could do just like locks. You could kind of switch up the part or anything. If you're making a puppet with short hair, you can probably use that t-shirt sleeve to kind of like and style it into any position you want it to be. I also forgot to say I have hot glue here for the hair. If you're just using like plastic or something, you can use glue sticks to just, or even tape to just get it to stick to the milk jug. It is hard because milk jugs are made out of like plastic, and plastic isn't the best material to work with when it comes to this kind of thing. But that's okay. We'll live. All right, I want this puppet to have kind of like thicker strands of hair. So on that one, I used like definitely thinner ones. But I'm gonna just experiment with thicker strands. So all I'm doing is taking this t-shirt and I'm gonna cut, just, let me hold it up. Doing it kind of like along here, I guess, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let me position it. It's kind of hard to do on video camera. All right, and I have my fabric scissors here, of course. You don't really need fabric scissors for this just because you're like ripping it apart, but if you do, it's probably easier to cut. And I'm gonna cut strands that are probably like 1.5 inches. I'm gonna cut like a good number of them, probably like 5 or 6. I think I only used 4 in that one, but that's just because I wanted to have more materials for this workshop. But you can do whatever you want. And of course, normally you would be doing this like, I don't know, on a surface or something. I'm kind of just like messily cutting it on my lap right now because I don't have a whole lot of surface space that can be like shown to you guys. So that's what we're gonna do. Also, if you hear noises in the background, my house is of course being worked on right now. Super convenient, Murphy's Law. Just ignore it. I'm trying to too. All right. Got one strip. I might just cut as many as like this allows, honestly. I want to start thinking about like what shape I want it in. I don't want bangs again because, you know, that's her sister's hairstyle. You don't want her to copy that. I might have like a side part going. It's up to you. Just have fun with it. I feel like I say that a lot in these workshops, like just have fun with it. I feel like that would be my catchphrase if I had one. I should make that a thing. And also, if you guys are having like any other ideas than what I'm having, like, I don't know, some creative inspiration hit you and you saw material differently, please like let me know in the comments. I love to see what people come up with. Especially when you're like stuck at home with like only what you have around you to work with. People can get really creative. I'm really liking what I'm seeing in the artist community. So I have 3. I'm trying to go fast for you guys, sorry. All right. You know what, I have 4, and since these are a little bit thicker than my other ones, I'm just gonna keep it. So now I have 4 loops, right? Ooh, it's like a necklace, pretty. But anyways, now we're just gonna cut them, right? So I'm gonna take my t-shirt scrap and put it here. We can always come back later and kind of like decide if we want to use more of it. So I'm just gonna cut it. I'm kind of looking for that, like, you know, the side seam, so I can cut it along there so there's no awkward bumps. It appears this t-shirt didn't have one, which is kind of surprising, or at least I can't see it right now. So whatever, I'm just gonna cut it then. So now you have, this kind of looks like hair already, right? That's what you should be having. I'm gonna do it again. There we go. I don't know why I held it up to my forehead. I just wanted to like test it. All right, I'm doing it again. Here's another one. And there we go. So now we have 4 strips of hair. And of course you can always like trim them after you put them on the puppet, kind of give it like a haircut. All right, so now I'm gonna go check in on how this is doing. Still pretty wet, but that's okay. So we're gonna start working on facial features now. We want this to dry a little bit before we actually attach the hair, just because, you know, then you might get like some blue on the hair and that won't look super good. So I'm just gonna move the hair over here for a little bit and let that sit. So now it's time to start thinking about what facial features you want, right? I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. I'm not a very good drawer. Like, I don't know why, I see it in my head, and when it comes to putting it on paper, I'm like, I can't do this. Obviously I'm better with 3D stuff, which is why I am a puppeteer. But for something like this, 2D skills or drawing skills do come in handy because, you know, we're painting a face onto here. So sometimes what I like to do is I just like to like Google cartoon faces and kind of like look at things for inspiration. So if you're kind of like struggling with what kind of face you want to put on it, you can definitely do that. I would encourage you to. Or if you like kind of know what you want to do already, then go for it. So I am going to get out my black because that's what I like to line the eyes with. I could make this puppet's eyes open, but I kind of liked the closed eye like look that I had going on with the other one. So I'm going to kind of follow that, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit. You can do whatever you want to do. It's up to you. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. So I'm getting a little bit of black going. All right, let me get my paintbrush. And now it is time for me to paint on the eyes. So again, if I want to kind of stick with that closed eye look, I'll bring out the other girl for inspiration. Maybe I might do the eyes in like an opposite arc, if that makes sense. So while she kind of looks like maybe like peaceful or even like a little sassy actually, this one might look kind of sad. And that would actually even go with the color blue. A lot of times with puppets, like it's kind of cool because you want to paint them to show their state of being, or like, you know, create them to show their state of being, if that makes sense. So like a lot of times if you are making a sad puppet, of course you want it to be blue, or like, you know, put things into the puppet that, you know, give that sense of how it's feeling. So yeah, I like the idea that we're making a sad puppet today. She's down on her luck. So I'm just gonna paint on the eyes. It's hard a little bit with this this shape to get a sense of symmetry. So I'm just gonna paint on one side, and then I'm gonna like, you know, flip it over and try really hard to get it equal on the other side. And your hands, if you're doing this right now, instead of waiting for it to completely dry, they're gonna get a little dirty. That's okay. Life is messy. We can have fun with it. All right, so I'm just gonna paint on the eye. There we go. I wonder what my life would look like as a puppeteer if I was more patient. I'm very impatient. I'm like, I don't want to wait for things to dry. I didn't wait for that to dry either. The one I had ample time to make. All right, so I've got kind of like an eye curve going here. I'm gonna add some eyelashes too because I like eyelashes. Some pretty eyelashes. Kind of making them into like little triangle shapes. And of course it's mixing with the blue right now. So what I did with her to get like such dark eyelashes was I painted on, you know, like the base of what I was doing. And then when it actually dried, like an hour later, I went back and freshened it up. So you can do that if you would like, or maybe you like the paler look. I don't know, it's up to you. There we go. All right. So now I have a sad eye. It's like closed, looking up like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to paint that on the other side. What I would recommend is just kind of like, I hate the term eyeballing it because that doesn't sound very good, but honestly, just kind of like try to match up and like mark out where you're going to paint. So I'm going to put like a dot at the top of like the eye on the other side, and then a dot at the bottom, approximately where I think it would be. And it's okay if it's not totally perfect. So I have one right there, as you can see. It's maybe a little bit high up, but that's okay. Oh, I don't know if your milk jug has this, but mine has like these weird little circles on it. So you can also use like, you know, any identifying marks on your milk jug to try to like, you know, see where everything should go. There we go. All right, I'm gonna paint this side now. This side's definitely a little bit longer, but that's okay because we can go back and change it. I'm gonna go back and fix the other side now to just kind of match that. All right, so I have that. I'm pretty satisfied with that. That looks pretty even. And now I'm just gonna paint the eyelashes on it. It's kind of difficult to like get what you want right now, but I think the end result is really cool in these milk jug puppets. Can you guys hear my dog barking? I'm just curious. Chihuahuas, man. They have opinions about everything. All right, so now I have my eyes on there, right? I feel like they look a little uneven in the camera, but that's okay. I can always go back and fix it a little bit later. Now we have that. So you can also add your eyebrows if you'd like. So I might do that like in a darker blue maybe, or it could match the hair too. You can do whatever you really want. I'll let that stand. Let it stand up. Oh, it will. Okay. Where'd my blue just go? Oh, on this side. There we go. Oh, you can hear my dogs. All right. So I'm gonna paint on an eyebrow. I want sad eyebrows, right? Because we're kind of going with this whole theme of it being sad. So I don't know. I'm just kind of feeling it. I did a little like loopy eyebrow. There we go. All right, so I've gotten my two eyebrows on. And again, I could go back later and kind of freshen them up if they're not looking too bright. So now we can kind of like, we can add the nose, or actually, you know what, mouth probably should come first, right? Your puppet doesn't have to have a nose. Maybe it can't smell. Maybe that's why it's so sad. But mouth is probably pretty important. Well, you can do whatever you want, actually. I like puppets without mouths too. I kind of like the idea that this is like the emo sister of the girl I made earlier. So I'm gonna give her some black lips that are like turned down in a frown, because that's kind of funny in my mind. You will have this kind of like awkwardness with the seam going down, but this is a milk jug. We're not trying to like hide the fact it's what it is, so you can just paint right over it and kind of ignore it. I will warn you that the paint will like catch in that little divot if your milk jug has it. So just kind of don't be too upset about that. There we go. I feel like this is going to look really funny when it's done. Yeah, I got to add more of that arch so it looks like sad. All right. Painting, filling it in now. There we go. So I have this look. It's almost like Betty Boop lips, right? Isn't that what she kind of had? So it's these sad lips. And now, of course, you can also, I don't know if you can like see it. My hands are kind of rubbing off some of the paint here. You can always go back and like refresh that later if you would like. It's not looking too bad right now, but I might go do that after this is done. And now it's time for the nose. I think I'm going to use the same blue that I did with the eyebrows. Maybe add a little bit of black in there to make it slightly darker. Come on, give me that dark blue. There we go. Now I'm gonna paint a nose. She had a circle nose, but I think I want a triangle nose. We're back to shapes. Shapes are so fun. You also don't have to have a nose if you want. That's up to you. All right, so I made a little triangle nose. She looks so sad, like she's crying. And actually, since I just said that, I think I want to go add some tears now. So now that we have all the facial features, you can add kind of whatever else you want to spruce it up a little bit. You could add maybe eyeshadow if it's a puppet that likes to wear makeup. You could add maybe like blush if they're blushing for some reason. You could add, but I'm gonna add tears right now to just kind of like emphasize the sad look we have going on. You could add dimples or like facial wrinkles or something. Kind of up to you. So I did that. I think I'm gonna add like another little one on the side. She's only crying out of this eye. All right, so I have some tears coming. All right, and I think that's kind of good with the base. I am gonna go back after the workshop and probably just like go over it again after it's dry. But for now, I'm pretty satisfied with it. And before my blue paint dries, I'm just gonna go fix the parts where I messed up, where I messed up the paint job. All right, so now back to normal. Ooh, almost normal, almost normal. There we go. So I fixed her. Now the top should be pretty dry at this point. Yeah, I just touched it, no paint came off. So now we're gonna add the hair, the last little step. Again, I have my hot glue gun ready. It's been heating up for quite some time now. And I'm gonna take these, our little red strands, or I don't know if yours is red, mine are red. So this part, you can kind of get creative with it again. You could even cut these in half again and kind of like give that, you know, you won't really get much of like a side part if you have like one long piece. But if you wanted like, you know, hair off to kind of like how my hair is, you could cut it in half and then like start gluing it towards the side or something. You could take this and just like wrap it around the head. I don't know, just get creative. Puppets have funky hair. You can really do whatever you want. I kind of like the idea of her having almost like side bangs, if that makes sense. So I'm even gonna, I'll show you. I'm probably gonna glue some like hair starting from the center and down a little bit and then letting it drop freely. Just because I think that sounds fun. So I'm just gonna take my hot glue gun. And I'm not using a lot just because I run out of hot glue really fast. So I'm just gonna lay it over and then stick it to there. Careful not to let your t-shirts hit the other wet paint on there. All right, so see, I've kind of gotten like this side done. Kind of looks like Ariel hair right now. You know, Ariel, the Disney princess. I'm gonna go back down and do it to the other side. And there you go. We have the basis of our first hair. And I'm gonna obviously keep doing it so, you know, you don't see this bald spot right here, if you will. And if your hair is kind of like bothering you about where it's like naturally wanting to fall, because like I'm worried this might kind of obscure the eye a little bit, you can always just take more glue and fix that if you would like. All right, I've done that. I am running out of time, so I'm gonna do this, you know, finish this puppet after the workshop. I just want to kind of like give you some performance tips really fast. Since I kind of, here, wait, I'm gonna turn that a little bit. There we go. So this is kind of, I like her colors. I think the red, blue, and yellow primary colors look really well together. So with this puppet, again, you can either stick it onto, a rod or something and make it into a rod puppet head. But I really like the fact that you can just control it like this. Maybe it's kind of like a floating head, like a ghost or something. Or this could even be attached to like a flexible body or something. So you still control the head like this, but then the body is controlled elsewhere. So obviously you want to make sure it has breath. I like how it's floaty and the hair kind of, goes with that. You can just kind of play around and decide how it wants to breathe or how it wants to move. Maybe it like pretends to have a body and it walks like that, or maybe it's a ghost of some sort. I don't know, but really have fun with it. I think that because it's so simple, you can get really creative with it and do whatever you want. So yeah, I hope you had fun today. Thank you for joining me. If you have a finished result, I would love to see it. You can either send it here or to our email, bimp@uconn.edu. Really any social media works. But yeah, I hope to see you next week. Bye, everyone.